I remember back in March of 2020 when the whole pandemic started, everybody started panicking, going out to the grocery store, and they were hoarding toilet paper. You go to there, and people were just absolutely fighting over it. And this was just toilet paper, one item in the grocery store. There was plenty of items, and then you start to go to this grocery store, and there's be a sign saying you can only buy maybe two things of toilet paper. That was back in March of 2020. That was when the pandemic got started. I'm seeing things happening right now in my grocery stores where the shelves are starting to get empty, and I can see that there's going to be some problems as far as down the road. Some CEOs right now that are panicking, and it looks like there's going to be a huge supply chain problem that's happening right now. What's happening is that people don't want to go to work. They close down the economies throughout the world. These politicians thought, well, yeah, let's close down the economies. That's just going to be good. But what it's done is it's created people that don't want to go back to the work that they were at. And so now you can't get containers off the ships at Los Angeles because Los Angeles closed down their entire economy there. Now people don't want to go back to work. The government can't force people to go back to work if they don't want to. So what's happening is that people aren't going into these places, and the whole supply chain is just absolutely screwed up. Will it get fixed? Well, I don't think government spending more money and printing more money is going to help fix the problem. I don't know if it's going to have to get the government out of the way, but right now you have stores that are absolutely getting empty. Now, one of the things that we're talking about here is that there's plenty of food in the supply chain. But certain items may be harder to get at certain times due to a nationwide shortage of labor impacting manufacturers, shippers, and retailers. Additionally, a lack of enforcement of antitrust laws in the grocery store marketplace have allowed dominant retailers to secure more favorable terms and ample supplies of high-demand goods while leaving many smaller retailers with limited selections or in some cases bare shelves. This is going to be a problem that you have bigger corporations that have been using the government's money, the printing of the money, and be able to kind of push out there a lot of their competitors. That's not good. You need competition. We have to have tons and tons of suppliers that compete with each other to try to get better prices, to get better products, to get better services. If you have just one giant organization, they're not going to have any incentive to make the supply chain more efficient, more better. It's just going to have where they're just going to get lazy, and they don't really want to do a lot. So I see a lot of things happen right now with a lot of the grocery store. One of the CEOs says, I never imagined that we'd be here in October of 2021 talking about supply chain problems, but it's a reality. So this is Vivek Shankran, CEO of Supermarkets Albertsons company. He said, any given day, you're going to have something missing in our stores, and it's across all categories. It says people are hoarding. CEO, founder of Andan Duran. What I think you'll see over the next 6 months, all prices will go higher. Now, prices going higher really doesn't have anything to do with supplies. It has nothing to do with whether they can get products in or out. They're not going to raise the products because they get products in. They're raising the products because the value of the dollar is declining. They're printing so much money. The Federal Reserve printed 40% of all the dollars in existence in the last 2 years. It's too much money, and it's got to go somewhere. It goes into the stock market, goes into raising prices. One of the other things that's happening with the shortage is that the source of the shortage is China's monopoly on global magnesium production. Production curbs of energy-intensive smelters have reduced the industrial metals output, resulting in dwindling stockpiles in Europe and North America. Says Barclays analysis Amos Fletcher told clients in a note that there are no substitutes for magnesium in aluminum, sheets, and billet production. He warned if magnesium supply stops, the entire auto industry will grind to a halt. Think about the magnesium that's people use for a lot of aluminum things and a lot of car products. Right now, I was at my car dealership recently, and they have 0 cars, and they're not getting any in for a while because they completely shut down production. They probably can't get people to come in to work there. I don't know why people are sitting back and not working. I don't know if they're afraid to get in, if the pandemic has really caused a lot of problems of people going in. It just doesn't make sense because I don't really know where they're getting their income, because if they're not going to work, they're not getting supplements or stimulus anymore. The stimulus checks have basically run out. Yeah, there's some stimulus checks coming in for the child tax credit, but people aren't getting regular stimulus checks. We're not even getting those one-time stimulus payments anymore. So it is expected that the current magnesium reserves in Germany and throughout Europe will be exhausted in a few weeks. And at the end of November 2020, at least, in the event of supply bottleneck of this magnesium, there is a risk of massive production losses. So the expanding energy crisis is causing propane to rocket higher as supplies dwindle to below seasonal levels, as research firm states. An Armageddon during the Northern Hemisphere winter. This is something that's becoming a real big problem. And you know, you're probably looking at this video and going, well, great, that's great, Tyler. What can I do about it? One of the things you can do is, number one, try to pick up some products that you normally get on a daily basis. Try to add one more, try to buy a little more. Another thing you can do is try to get yourself out of the US dollar right now. It's becoming a problem. It's becoming an inflation problem. And dollars that sit inside of a bank account are being eroded quickly. The purchasing power of those dollars are getting eroded very quickly. So how do you do that? Well, you can go and pick up some gold and silver if you want to. I personally like to pick up the number one BTC, crypto Bitcoin. I like to pick that up. I use Gemini and Coinbase. I pick that up and just move US dollars into that. And I just like to leave it there because I'm going to hedge my bets against this inflation. It's absolutely going crazy. I think it's important to do that. You know, during the 70s, the inflation went out of control. And Paul Volcker came in and he raised interest rates to about 20%. And that really did kill the inflation back then. I don't know if the Fed is going to come in and raise interest rates to try to kill the inflation. But for right now, 11% is what inflation is actually increasing on a monthly basis. And it's important to really kind of sit back and go, okay, I got to figure out something to do. I got to go to the next level. What am I going to do? And that's where I say get into some hard assets if you can. Try to take some of your, if you have savings account, put it into hard assets. If you have money that you're buying, go to the grocery store and start buying things and stockpiling it, because prices are going to continue to rise. I mean, the gas prices are going to continue to rise. The products inside of grocery stores are going to continue to rise. It is becoming a global problem. And the politicians think that they can just print more money and throw that at the problem, and that is not going to solve the problem. Me personally, if I was sitting in President Biden's desk, I would say, here's $1,200 to people that want to go back to work. Try to get people back, incentive to go back into the workforce. That would be, to me, I would say, here's $1,500 and you go back to work. You prove that. You work there for maybe a month and then you'll get your $1,500. That, to me, would be a more incentive. The state of Arizona and Connecticut are actually doing that. They're incentivizing people to go back to work because they had a huge labor problem in those two states. So they're encouraging people to go back to work to try to get more income coming in. You know, and all this inflation, where does it go? It goes right into the stock market. It goes right into just the building up the stock market. I think the politicians, they think that if we can just pump up the stock market, it's going to keep everybody happy. It's going to keep everybody going. But it's not going to be the case because eventually that's going to run out. People aren't buying those treasury bonds anymore. The 10-year treasury is just China's stopped buying treasury bonds anymore. And so a lot of the other countries are moving away from the US dollar. And that's why I'm tell people you got to start picking up some of this hard assets. Because I don't think they're going to come out with any more stimulus checks. I don't think that Bernie Sanders is going to be able to get his thing passed. Democrats, I think they just got lazy and they didn't push enough. If they do come out with more stimulus, I'd be shocked. But in this new budget plan, there is no plan for a fourth stimulus check. I thought they were going to try to sneak it in, but I don't think they're going to. It's just going to be extending out the child tax credit. But if you do get a stimulus check, you want to make sure you put it into hard assets. Put it into some type of Bitcoin trust, or put it into Bitcoin, hard assets. Put it into some gold and silver. Go to your local coin dealership. You can go to places and just get some regular old gold coins. Don't try to pick up any of these coins that fell off a boat or something like that, because they're going to add premium to them. Just get regular gold coins that are minted. They're usually minted by the government, and they just get those gold coins, and you pay the spot price for it. So I think it's around $1,700 for 1 ounce of gold. You don't have to buy a full gold coin. You can buy percentages of it. The great thing about Bitcoin too is you don't have to buy a whole Bitcoin. You can buy a percentage of it, so you can put in $100 or $200 into it. But just use something like Gemini. That's where I tell my parents, I tell my family, just go to Gemini, go to Coinbase, whichever one works best for you. But that's a great place to take your hard assets, or your assets you have now, and put them into hard assets to protect yourself from this coming inflation, because it's coming and it's going to really have a ripple effect on everybody.